Stoicism looks like the perfect philosophy, right? Well, not exactly. I've watched hundreds of videos on Stoicism and read every book ever written about it, only to raise more questions in my head. Does Stoicism say that we should be emotionless? Does Stoicism think dopamine, pleasure, money, and sex are really bad for you? Were the Stoics actually fearless? If you have some of these questions yourself, you're not alone. Specifically, there are exactly 7 things people get wrong about Stoicism. And to be honest, some of their accusations actually contain some element of truth in them. The real question is, do you believe any of these things to be true? If so, you might want to change some things after watching this video, or you risk experiencing the negative effects of this philosophy. Wait till the end, and I'll also tell you the #1 reason haters think Stoicism is bad for you. This video is a banger, and it's the most important one on my channel. Let's begin. Misunderstanding number 1. All things outside your control are outside your control. What is the most famous teaching of Stoicism? That some things are under our control, and some things are not. But this is not completely true. There is actually a third category few people know about. Things that we influence, but are neither completely under our control nor outside of it. I like to call this the gray area of Stoicism. We already know that we control our beliefs, habits, efforts, intentions, and interpretations of what's happening to us. We also know that we cannot control the weather, our bodily functions, political decisions, wars, flights getting cancelled, natural disasters, past events, the family and country we are born into, and our DNA. But what about health, death, relationships, and money, which is what most people really care about? You can't control health issues that may appear out of nowhere, like cancer, for example. But you can eat healthy, avoid excess, and exercise regularly. You can't fully control whether you'll be involved in a car crash or not, but you can drive carefully, pay attention to the road, and avoid drinking and smoking. When talking to women, you do control what you say and how you say it. These things influence whether she'll give you her number or not, but even if you are a great seducer, there are some things that you can't possibly control. Namely, whether she has a boyfriend, whether she doesn't like short guys, etc. You might think that making money and becoming rich depends only on the amount of effort you're willing to put. While dedication and sleepless nights surely play their role in a person's success, even if you have the most amazing product, only other people can decide whether they'll buy it or not. You cannot take money out of their pockets and put it in your business vaults. Some say that our death date and fate is predetermined, but our actions and day-to-day activities and decisions may play some role in it. After all, our future depends heavily on the decisions we make in the present moment. But even if our fate is predetermined, should we just sit back and relax and stay passive? This is misunderstanding number 2. Misunderstanding number 2. Acceptance and passivity are the same thing. Let's say your flight is delayed or cancelled, an event outside your control. Or let's assume you lost your job or can't find a girlfriend. What is the proper way to respond to such events? Before we get to that, people who read Stoicism for the first time learn about the importance of accepting things outside your control, which is the second most important teaching of Stoicism. It's that famous quote of Epictetus, who said that, "We may not always be able to control what happens to us, but we're always able to choose how we respond to it." But Epictetus doesn't define the course of actions we should take on each occasion. However, one thing is certain. Stoicism advocates for acceptance, not passivity. Many confuse these two, so what's the difference between acceptance and passivity? Passivity means waiting for God or luck to make things better for you. It's the lazy, arrogant, and honestly cowardly route. In case your flight gets postponed, passivity means sitting around and blaming the airline representative who honestly doesn't give a fuck about you. In the case where you lost your job, passivity means sitting around crying all day, waiting for your boss to call you back, or for someone to magically call you and offer you a new position. In the case of seeking a new girlfriend, passivity means approaching absolutely 0 girls and then blaming luck for being a virgin in your 30s. Acceptance is the opposite. It means that you accept the event exactly as it is, and instead of dwelling on everything you can't control and don't like, you fixate your mind on everything you can do to improve things. You change your schedule and book a new flight. You search for new jobs and start scheduling interviews. You decide to start talking more to girls and becoming the man who can talk to anyone, anywhere. This mindset doesn't erase feelings, it embraces them. But of course, Stoicism haters like Nietzsche have a different opinion. Misunderstanding number 3. The Stoics taught their students to be emotionless. Have you ever searched what the word Stoic means? According to the English dictionary, it's the person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings. That's absolutely not true. Stoicism acknowledges that feelings and emotions are natural and useful sometimes. Not only that, but the Stoics were far ahead of their time when they noticed that there were some default reactions we humans share with animals. Today, these reactions are known as automatic responses, and they come from the reptilian part of the brain, the most ancient part, and it's the main process behind the famous freeze, fight, or flight response. The Stoics said that we shouldn't care much about these reactions, as they lie outside our control. The blushing in the cheeks, the instant terror when you notice something scary, and the scream when someone surprises you are all examples of uncontrolled reactions. The so-called Stoic gurus you see online advise you to become emotionless and emotionally unavailable. This is bullshit. Stoicism is trying to make you a human, not a goddamn robot. Stoicism never advocated for hiding your emotions, but for explaining them away. They knew that you can and should cry when you lose a loved one. More on that later. But you shouldn't let destructive emotions interfere with your goals and your life's mission. In fact, there are precisely 5 destructive emotions you must guard yourself against. These are foolish joy, pointless grief, unbiased enthusiasm, destructive pleasure, and greedy desire. And when it comes to desire, money and pleasure are the first to come to mind. And what Stoics believed about these two will definitely surprise you. Misunderstanding number 4. A Stoic hates money and pleasure. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man alive. Seneca was the equivalent of a modern-day entrepreneur, and his fortune was equal to hundreds of millions of dollars. Cato the Younger was also very wealthy. Stoicism may look like a get-rich-quick scheme, but there's a catch. These Stoics had lots of money, but they didn't need it. They enjoyed it from time to time, but didn't cling to it. While Stoicism's brother, Cynicism, said that everything except virtue is indifferent, the Stoics understood that it's preferable to be wealthy than poor. Money gives you more opportunities than you'd otherwise have, but you need to be trained as a Stoic to remain unshakable in case you lose it all. Epictetus said that if you can show me how to get all these things like money, high status, and office, without compromising my values, I will gladly do it. He believed the same about pleasure. His opinion on sex, for example, which most people don't know about, is the following. Avoid sex before marriage as far as it's possible, but if you must indulge in it, do so with moderation, and never do anything that's socially unacceptable. The Stoics enjoyed common pleasures such as banquets and social gatherings with wine and food. They just wanted to be in control of themselves and do everything with moderation to enjoy it twice as much. Seneca had a great sense of humor, and Cato invited his friends weekly for philosophical discussions at his house. Cleanthes had the strength of a bodybuilder, and Chrysippus was a marathon runner. These men listened to music on a different note, and as much as others try to degrade them, they will never reach their level of self-mastery. But did you notice something in the previous paragraphs? We've only talked about men who were Stoics. Were there any Stoic women? Misunderstanding number 5. Stoicism is only for males. This is the curse of ancient philosophy. It was a men's world. Unfortunately, women didn't have the right not just to vote, but to also get education. But guess who were ahead of their time again with their ideas? The Stoics. Musonius Rufus is one of the first, if not the first, people in history to suggest that both men and women should receive education and become Stoics. In his great book, That One Should Disdain Hardships, he explains that both women and men have the ability to be virtuous. It's not that men can be more virtuous than women, or that they need it more. Women need courage to go through life's difficulties, wisdom to make the right decisions about their husbands and their kids, temperance to avoid giving in to temptations and stay moderate, and justice to treat other people fairly, Musonius Rufus explained. In fact, did you know that there were actually Stoic women in the past? The most notable example is Cato's daughter, Portia. Her devotion to her husband Brutus is instilled in history as a woman who remained close to him through heaven and hell, suffered for him, and eventually died alongside him. Together they gave their life to defend the Roman Republic from Julius Caesar. But no, the Stoics didn't care about other people. The naysayers want you to believe. Misunderstanding number 6. Stoicism urges you to give zero fucks about others. There is an honestly weird story about a philosopher, forgive me, but I can't remember whether this man was a Stoic or not, who remained calm as his house burned relentlessly with his wife and kids inside it. Of course, he tried to save them but failed. When he made it out, another philosopher asked him, "How do you feel?" "I lost nothing that truly belongs to me," the man replied. At first, hearing this story makes you feel disgusted and gives you the impression that the Stoics were completely detached from their loves and were apathetic to the world around them, focusing only on themselves and virtue. But that's absolutely not true. Epictetus urged his students to sympathize with a father who has lost his son, for example. He also saved a young boy from dying and raised it with the help of another woman. Seneca was always there when his friends needed him. He wrote many, many letters to his friend Lucilius and many consolations to women who had lost their children. Marcus Aurelius sold off all his palace furnishings to feed the starving people of Rome. As if this wasn't enough, the Stoics and the Cynics were the ones who invented the word cosmopolitan, meaning citizens of the whole world, and every human was their brother and sister. Remember this: Stoicism teaches us to always be at guard to save someone and risk our lives for the common good if we have to. If that's not love for the common good, I don't know what is. And to do that, you need unwavering courage and bravery, two things that the Stoics had, or had not. Misunderstanding number 7. The Stoics were fearless. I know that the Stoic ideal you've created in your mind revolves around a man who doesn't feel fear and rushes into the scene to help without second thoughts. I mean, I just told you about it some seconds ago. I wish that was true, but it isn't, at least not 100%. What is fear? Fear is an emotion, an interpretation of a situation in which something might happen that will negatively affect you. Since it's an emotion, can you actually get rid of it? No, it will be forever ingrained in you. So even brave men feel fear, but handle it differently. What's the exact definition of a brave man? To understand this, here's a great short story that the Roman grammatician Aulus Gellius once wrote, explaining exactly how a Stoic handles fear. Gellius embarked on a ship with Greece as the final destination. With him, there was a Stoic philosopher, probably Athenodorus. When a severe storm broke out, putting the whole ship in danger, everyone went crazy. Gellius was baffled to see that the Stoic was also frozen from fear, but compared to others who were running around and shouting, he did not make a single sound. When the storm passed, Gellius approached the Stoic. "I thought the Stoics did not experience fear," he told him. "That's not true," the Stoic responded. "We too experience fear, but handle it differently. For example, when these people started running around, screaming and fearing for their lives, I understood this wasn't going to help me save myself or anyone here. So I calmed down and realized that the storm can pass, and even if the ship sinks, I can still swim to the coast or die calmly." A Stoic defeats fear with logic. Aristotle gave the perfect definition of bravery. Brave is not the man who doesn't feel fear, because then we should call every lunatic a brave man. Brave is the man who does what needs to be done, despite the feeling of fear. It's perfectly normal to feel fear. It's not normal to be paralyzed because of it. What if your friend is in danger and you must save him? What if you are the one who must speak up and uncover an injustice? Will you be defeated by fear and join the list of cowards whose names are forever forgotten? Or will you do the right thing and make the Stoics proud? The choice is yours. As you just saw, these 7 misconceptions have some reasoning behind them, but there's something else going on. These misinterpretations of the Stoic philosophy come from people who just read 1 or 2 Stoic books and immediately make assumptions, refusing to dig deeper. What I mean by that is that Stoic haters are usually people who don't want to take responsibility for their life and want to excuse themselves and blame others for their problems. Understand? Stoicism is a badass philosophy that urges you to take responsibility for your life and help improve others. If you are the type of person who always look outside themselves for the source of their problems and turn their back when others criticizes them, please quit studying philosophy or reprogram your mind and start all over again. Stoicism has very high standards. To continue your journey and learn about the most powerful Stoic who ever lived, click on this video next.